You are listening to Exopolitics Today with Dr. Michael Salla, your source for the uncensored truth regarding the human, extraterrestrial, social, global, and political agenda. Click the like button and subscribe to this channel. Visit exopolitics.org and sign up to receive our email notifications, news, and information. Be informed and be aware with Exopolitics Today. And now, here's Dr. Michael Salla.
Did Bezos, Branson and Musk secretly travel to Jupiter for negotiations with the Galactic Federation? On July 11, to much fanfare, Richard Branson travelled on a Virgin Galactic spacecraft for a highly publicised trip to the edge of space, defined by NASA as beginning at an altitude of 50 miles or 80 kilometres. A week later, he was followed by Jeff Bezos, who flew in a Blue Origin spacecraft to just above the von Karman line, an altitude of 62 miles or 100 kilometres, the worldwide standard for the start of space. Around the same time, on July 23, Elon Musk announced that SpaceX was given the highly prized contract to launch NASA's Europa Clipper mission to Jupiter by 2024. What unites these three disparate space events involving pioneering aerospace CEOs is a claim by a former French archaeologist, Elena Danaan, that a series of secret meetings were held in a floating extraterrestrial base or city in the upper atmosphere of Jupiter in mid-July. She was told by her primary extraterrestrial contact, Thorhan Aredian, that the meetings were attended by top officials from 14 spacefaring nations, as well as progressive corporation CEOs, to meet with representatives from the Galactic Federation of Worlds and other galactic organizations. In previous articles, I discussed the identities of the 14 nations that most likely attended the meetings and speculated that the progressive corporation CEOs probably included Bezos and Branson, whose trips to the edge of space coincided with the alleged time of the Jupiter meetings. I further speculated that Musk had attended due to a SpaceX announcement that it had been awarded the Europa Clipper missions. In her most recent physical contact with Thorhan, Elena has provided some fresh new details about the Jupiter meetings which confirmed my speculations about the CEOs in attendance. This is Elena's recollection of what she was told by Thorhan. Elena, about the CEOs, was Michael right? Thorhan, yes. Elena, all of them? Thorhan, and many more. While Branson and Bezos very publicly televised their relatively few minutes floating in Earth's upper atmosphere, Thorhan's response suggests they kept secret that they were about to or had already spent many hours in the upper atmosphere of Jupiter negotiating the future of our solar system. It's worth pointing out that this is not the first time that Jeff Bezos has been involved in top-level negotiations involving secret space programs. In early February 2018, the German-led Dark Fleet operating out of Antarctica conducted high-level meetings with the Trump administration, as first revealed by former Forbes magazine author Benjamin Fulford. What corroborated Fulford's claim was that Trump's Secretary of State, Rex Tillerson, did travel to Bariloche, Argentina, where secret negotiations were allegedly held with the Dark Fleet to reveal its existence and release some of its advanced technologies. What added even more credence to Fulford's claims was that Bezos was also in Bariloche at the time, where he almost certainly joined Tillerson in the secret negotiations, which I covered in a previous article. This takes me to the question of why corporate CEOs with questionable backgrounds were involved in the Jupiter meetings. Thorhan's response suggests some dire contingency is on the horizon that makes it necessary for the Galactic Federation to work with them for the greater good of humanity. This is the relevant portion of the dialogue between Elena and Thorhan. Elena, why them? People on Earth are going mad about it. Thorhan, because these are the ones who are ready now. There's no other choice. We don't have time. We can't afford to wait. that new corporations form and equip themselves with brand new fleets. We take the ones who are available here and now. I know they are not pure-hearted, but they are the only ones able to lead the Terran species into the future. As corporations, their agendas are financial. They go with the winners. Their old allies are losing, so these corporations have turned their back to them. Thorhan's response that we don't have time is very troubling. It corroborates that the Galactic Federation sees some impending catastrophic or major Earth change events that make the development of large space fleets an urgency. The most likely candidate for such a dire contingency is a micronova or solar flash event happening in the near future. Ben Davidson, the founder of Space Weather News, has for several years now been urgently warning about the growing evidence that a micronova event will happen by the end of this or the start of the next decade. Similarly, a secret space program insider, Corey Goode, has since 2015 been warning that a solar flash event is predicted to happen in the near future. Historical evidence shows that micronova events had happened before and wiped out advanced civilizations on Earth and in our solar system. Thorhan's reference to there being no other choice and that there is insufficient time that new corporations form and equip themselves suggests that the dire contingency is not that far in the future, just as Davidson and Goode have been warning. Elena continued her dialogue about Musk, Bezos and Branson as follows. Elena, but do you trust them? Thorhan, no we don't. Remember, I told you that we were watching them, proving their good intent. Now you must not tell this publicly until I say it is the right time, because civilians on Terra do not possess all the elements yet to grasp the whole perspective. There are many other reasons why we do not disclose everything for the moment, as it does not involve only ourselves. Thorhan did give permission for this information to be now released. He is correct that most on Earth do not possess the necessary big picture perspective. Many will focus on the shortcomings of Musk, Bezos and Branson at the Jupiter meetings as, quote, progressive corporate CEOs, end quote, without realizing that they have built the necessary infrastructure for quickly expanding their operations and building large fleets of civilian spacecraft. Musk's SpaceX, Bezos's Blue Origin and Branson's Virgin Galactic have spent a decade or so developing rocket-propelled spacecraft to get to their current positions where they can safely begin building fleets of civilian craft for moving a significant number of humans into space. It's unreasonable to expect that the world's militaries would undertake such a massive endeavour in a global contingency, since they would unquestionably prioritise relocating government officials and military families to safety zones in space or underground. The rest of humanity would be left to fend for themselves. Therefore, there is an urgent need for a civilian space industry to be quickly expanded far beyond present levels. This is especially the case once advanced propulsion and energy technologies are released, which would enable space travel deep into our solar system, thereby evading any catastrophic Earth changes. Elena shared more of Thorhan's response about the corporate CEOs, which gives us some clues into what lies ahead. Quote, the Galactic Federation offered to these corporations a deal that if they comply to the progressive rules of the new agreements, we will support and protect their commercial interests, because it is in our spirit to entice unity and progress, not division. We believe that everyone in this universe deserves a second chance. This is a process, part of the evolution, learning from our mistakes, and also by including your opponents in your circle, they cease to be an enemy and they become an ally. This is how you make peace, and also why our Federation works hard at welcoming cultures that were once regressive. Unity is progress. End quote. Thorhan is here acknowledging that Musk, Bezos, Branson and other CEOs at the Jupiter meetings previously collaborated with the Deep State in various ways. However, with the impending defeat of the Deep State and their space allies, the Dark Fleet, Draco Empire and Orion Alliance, Musk, Bezos and Branson have realigned themselves. Thus they have been given a second chance and are being closely watched by their new partners, the Galactic Federation, in terms of complying with the, quote, progressive rules of the new agreements, end quote. At this stage, it's not known what these progressive rules are, but given the Federation's recent actions on the Moon, Mars and Antarctica, we can expect it would exclude the kind of exploitative practices, genetic experiments, slave trade, biowarfare, etc. that were the mainstay of the interplanetary corporate conglomerate and the Dark Fleet. Elena continued, Elena, this explains why, as I thought in the recent agreements on Jupiter, countries such as Russia and China were voted to be under the management of the United States of America. But why the USA? Thorhan, because they are the best able to fit the task, and because we know what the future is made of, who have been secretly grooming the USA into secret space programs since the 1950s, because we knew. Elena, I closed my eyes as Thorhan sent me a telepathic image. It was 3 similar logos, from left to right, as an unfolding timeline. Star Trek's Starfleet, Artemis Accords, and Space Force. All 3 blended into one. Just after that, I saw 8 ships of Solar Warden passing by the Galactic Federation of Worlds station, where I was. What a good omen. Elena's response highlights the Artemis Accords' importance and US leadership for the immediate years ahead as humanity's presence in space expands greatly beyond its present levels. The Artemis Accords create a framework for the civilian, corporate and military sectors to work side by side in meeting the challenges of quickly expanding humanity's presence far into our solar system. In addition, her information confirms the testimony of William Tompkins, who told of human-looking extraterrestrials, the Galactic Federation, helping the US Navy develop a secret space program, Solar Warden, since the 1950s. Tompkins further stated that the Navy's Solar Warden program had been building new fleets of space carriers that are scheduled to come online sometime in the early 2030s, around the same time frame as Davidson and Good have predicted the incoming micronova event. Coincidence? I don't think so. All this suggests that in the immediate years ahead, the Navy will begin revealing Solar Warden assets through the newly created US Space Force, which is becoming the hub for a future multinational space alliance. This is evidenced in the expanding Combined Space Operations Initiative, whereby the space commands of Australia, Canada, France, Germany, New Zealand, United Kingdom are closely coordinating with the US Space Command and Space Force. I discussed this exciting emergence of a future multinational military space alliance, a modern-day Starfleet, in my latest book, US Space Force and Our Star Trek Future. The US Navy will play a key role in preparing humanity for the challenges that lie ahead. Over the last few years, the Department of the Navy has been releasing some of the advanced space propulsion technologies used in Solar Warden through scientists such as Dr. Salvador Payas. There have been 5 patents released by Payas, all on behalf of the Secretary of the Navy, which have all the necessary components for the civilian sector to build fleets of advanced anti-gravity space vehicles and powerful electromagnetic shielding technologies that can be used to protect humanity either in deep space or on Earth itself from electromagnetic storms and coronal mass ejections. All will be vital for building future fleets of civilian spacecraft that can be used to ride out the devastating effects of a micronova or other catastrophic events foreseen by the Galactic Federation and multiple secret space programs. In conclusion, I know that it will be difficult for many to stomach that compromised CEOs such as Bezos, Branson and Musk have been given a second chance and allowed to reach agreements with the Galactic Federation at secret meetings held above Jupiter. However, the Galactic Federation is telling us that there is no choice given the magnitude of the challenges that lie ahead, which makes it imperative that a very large civilian space infrastructure is built using exotic technologies such as those found in the Payas patents as quickly as possible. Bezos, Branson and Musk have the necessary finances, resources, and know-how to quickly transform the civilian space industry away from fossil fuels, just as Musk transformed the automobile industry to electric cars. The upside of the Jupiter agreements is that humanity is being helped by a positive association of extraterrestrials, the Galactic Federation of Worlds, working simultaneously with national governments, militaries, and select aerospace corporations to prepare humanity for a Star Trek future. And this is just the beginning. Join me for my upcoming September 11 webinar, where I will lay out all the latest information about humanity's Star Trek future and how it all relates to Space Force, Solar Warden, Artemis Accords, and the Galactic Federation. This is positive and highly inspiring material, so don't miss this look beyond the chaos into a far better future for all of us. This has been Dr. Michael Salla with Exopolitics Today. Don't forget to subscribe to my email list on exopolitics.org or subscribe to my podcast on any of the available platforms. Thank you and aloha.